Hello, everyone out there in LinkedIn Live land. This is Daisy Wright, Chief Encouragement Officer at the Right Career Solution. And today I am going to be speaking a little bit about some of the disrespect that some employees receive from employers. And I know this is not the usual topic I would be discussing. But a couple of weeks ago, I had the privilege of speaking with Mark Anthony Dyson on his Job Seeker Nation LinkedIn Live. And we're talking about some of the phrases that employers use in the office to their employees. And prior to that, I had read an article by Forbes contributor and colleague, Jack Kelly, who spoke about the restaurant that had the owner of a franchise who had said that he was going to lower the wages for employees because of high gas prices. And of course, in December, there was the CEO of Better.com who fired 900 employees with one sentence. And that's the reason I decided to talk about that topic today. In addition, and more importantly, actually, is I was on Twitter and saw this, somebody posted this note, and I will read it for you because you won't be able to see it properly on the screen how it was copied. But it says, "Attention all subordinates," in all caps and underlined. And then in all caps it says, "Effective immediately. Conversing about wages both on duty and off duty is strictly forbidden." It goes on to say this is considered proprietary information and as such, it is protected legally. If you're overheard speaking or listening to a conversation in which wages are discussed, you will receive disciplinary action up to and including termination. And then the last paragraph says, as a reminder, Kentucky is an at will state, meaning your employment can be terminated for any reason without legal percussion. Note the word legal percussion, not repercussion. And then it says, or no reason. And no reason, again, it's in cap. Now, when you read, I can't attest to the whether this is true or not, but at least it was posted on Twitter, and I imagine it was a photograph that was taken from somewhere. However, what disrespect? First of all, the person talks about to all my subordinates, right? And then went on to say they should not be talking about wages, whether on the premises or not. And I don't think that's legal. But of course, I'm not in the US, so I don't know what the NLRB says. But I think people are free to discuss their salaries wherever. Anyway, that was the notice at that particular location. And then I go back to the CEO of Better.com when in December he terminated 900 employees. And how did he do it? With one sentence. If you're on this call, you are part of the unlucky group that is being laid off. How do you do that to your employees right in the midst of the holiday season. And of course, we go to the Applebee's franchise owner. He sent the email and he said, we can pay lower wages because of high gas prices and inflation. Imagine that. This franchise owner was not thinking of his employees and the struggle that those employees might have been going through. All he was thinking about was profitability. I remember it was the pandemic that brought out how important certain, what we term essential workers, were and are. We would go to the supermarket and we would treat those associates as if they don't exist. And yet, during the pandemic, they were the ones who had to go out to work for us. I think of the people in healthcare, in the healthcare sector. They had to go out when we were all at home. And I think it's time that we treat employees at whatever level, whether they are in the C-suite or whether they are at the lower on the lower rung. They're on the lower rung of the ladder. Let's treat them with respect. Who is speaking up? Who is taking up for these employees? And so here are some tips I would like to give. They're simple tips I would like to give employers. And when I say employers, I'm talking about those of us who make up the office. So it's not just employers generally, because all of us together. First of all, don't address your direct reports as subordinates. They might not be at your level. They might not be earning the same money you're earning, but they're human beings. So treat them as human beings. When you treat them as subordinates, it gives the impression that you're way up here and then they're down there. So that's advice number one. Advice number two, do not mistreat your employees. Whether the employee is the custodian or whether the employee is the receptionist or the CEO, please treat them with respect. And when you give respect, it will return to you, no doubt. So learn to respect everybody with whom you interact. My next point here. Lead by example. This is the other point. Lead by example. If you cannot expect an employee to turn up to work at 9 a.m. and leave at 5 p.m., if you are turning up at 10 a.m. and leaving at noon. So lead by example, and not only in terms of attendance, but in other respects. If you're respecting your other co-workers, your direct reports will follow your steps. So make sure you're leading by example and do not ask them to do anything that you would not do yourself. And offer constructive feedback. When you are speaking to your direct report, make sure the conversation or the feedback is constructive. And it doesn't mean you should not tell them the bad news, but do it in a way that it has a human element to it. And if it's not good news, it's best for you to offer the feedback one on one rather than in a whole group. Yes. So those are my tips in this short episode of my LinkedIn Live. And as I said at the beginning, I was just riled up when I read the note about to all my subordinates. And when I reflected on the franchise owner who was so concerned about making more money and not concerned about his employees, many of whom might have been working two or three jobs to keep afloat. So please, if you can do one thing today, employers, treat your employees with respect. And that advice goes for all of us. Treat everybody with respect. It will come back to you. Have a wonderful day. If you happen to be watching this later on, please put your comments in the chat box there and I will respond. Until then, to your success.